Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Royi. I'm a senior research manager at Azure. And today I'll be talking about Azure machine learning as a platform for machine learning, and also about the vision of data science economy, which is what we're trying to introduce through the Azure machine learning platform. So I'll start with the platform, and then gradually I'll be talking more about the data science economy and why we think about it. So you just have to excuse me. I'll be trying to somehow maneuver between this computer where I don't see the PowerPoint and the screen. So I'll be with my attention split. Okay, so talking about machine learning and in the cloud requires some justification. And just let's set the stage. Cloud reduces the costs of compute and storage into negligible costs. As a consequence, data is piling up. And then advanced analytics, on the other hand, not necessarily in the cloud, is fueling innovation. And we can see it across the board in many startups that are doing, for example, a whole startup doing one solution for one type of security attack, for example. And this is, a proof, this is an evidence that advanced analytics is now fueling up innovation even at small pieces, at small steps. And this is why we believe at Azure Machine Learning that it is high time to democratize advanced analytics and also bring the benefits of online economy that we have seen in many other places into the world of data science. And when I'm saying democratize, I actually imply what? Okay. And when I'm saying democratize, I actually imply that that technology is not commoditized. It is more expensive than it should be. So let me just enumerate a few hurdles that are taking a very high toll from organizations and people and startups that are trying to productize machine learning. So first of all, we have the barrier of specialized skills. So you guys are expensive, and this is what makes machine learning solutions, data scientists and researchers, and high caliber developers that know how to write code and also understand advanced analytics. And this is eventually is being embodied in the price of the product. Then there is infrastructure. So infrastructure, if you want to do big data, you need big infrastructure. Just to give you an example, when I finished my studies and landed on my first data mining job, I had to put experiments to run overnight because I was working on my machine only. And then at some point it was just, it didn't work. Then I had to buy very expensive software, software and hardware, so I can shorten the development cycle. And then and this expensive hardware, was idle 95% of the time, even though it was very costly. So this is infrastructure. It's a bottleneck. And now we also have internal interfaces that we have to solve. So the scientist that is producing a model, now this model has to go through engineers and through product managers and through whatnot in order to be actually put into production. And these people have different skills. The process is very lengthy. And in general, it all comes down to productization complexity, which is very high. And this is what we're trying to solve. Oops. Okay. And in Azure Machine Learning, we have the following vision. And in this talk, I'll try to explain how we break it up into different levels and what we try to achieve in each one of them. So the vision is to make machine learning accessible to every enterprise, data scientist, developer, information worker, consumer, and device anywhere in the world. So like total commoditization and democratization of machine learning and advanced analytics. And what I'll show you in this talk is that how we try to solve some of the problems that we saw in the previous slide. We have in Azure Machine Learning 4 types of functionalities, layered one above the other. So first one is machine learning algorithms, just the implementation of algorithms on the cloud. And in the following slides, I'll drill down into each of these layers. Then the next layer is a machine learning studio, which is the equivalent of Visual Studio or other development tools, but tailored specifically for machine learning and in the cloud. This is for the scientist or the researcher to use. On top of this, we have the machine learning operationalization in the cloud layer that is going to save the IT and the engineering a lot of time and effort and overall reduce the cost to productization. And on top of that, and this is where the data science economy comes into the game, is the Azure Machine Learning Marketplace that is trying to bring the goodness of online economy, almost peer-to-peer economy, into the data science world. Okay, so I'll just go to the first and the lowest level in the platform, which is the implementation of algorithm. These are dozens of algorithms, machine learning algorithms that are best of breed. Also, you don't have to use R algorithms. You can also use R and Python that are first-class citizens within the modules that I'll show you in a minute. And the logic behind this is that we want to bring the algorithms to the cloud where the data is. So data is piling up in the cloud, as I said before. And now we'd like to bring the algorithms closer to the data in order to avoid what many of you have done in the past, to download data, create a model, sometimes sample it because you don't have enough space, because you don't have enough time. So we want to avoid all that. And this is just the first barrier that has to be alleviated. By the way, one more thing that I would like to say here is that everything is standardized. So you don't have to, when you work on Azure Machine Learning, you don't have to take one piece of code written in R, the other in MATLAB, and then another piece of code in Java, and then having to inter-operationalize everything in sometimes a very slow and not effective way. So here's the studio. This is the second layer in the stack of the Azure Machine Learning platform. This is a drag and drop environment, and let me see if I can show you sort of a live demo here in view of the technical difficulties. That doesn't look like it. Oops. So I'll just try to explain from here. Here is the studio. This is a drag and drop environment that you can drag and drop cubes, and the cubes are either algorithms from the previous slide, and they can also be other operations that you usually do in data. The data scientists usually use, such as database-related operations, joins and projections, and also things that are machine learning oriented, such as to split the data, to test and train, evaluate the model, visualize the results. So this is an end-to-end, like a one-stop shop for everything that the data scientist can do with the data. And remember that this is deployed on the cloud and where the data is. So we bring the algorithms to where the data is, and this is like a very standardized environment where everything is with a lot of interoperability in it. When I'm done with doing the model, the next thing that I can do is share it with my friends. So this is a very useful feature in the Azure Machine Learning Studio, is to share my workspace with others or with customers. And also, in addition to that, we also have a gallery, so you can share it with your friends, with your coworkers and customers, but also with the whole world. And we also, at Azure Machine Learning, put a lot of skeletons of models in the gallery, so everybody can take a skeleton and tweak it and have an 80% baked solution already when they start to work on Azure Machine Learning. Okay, so this is the studio. Now let's talk a little about cloud operationalization. So I have a model, I have a machine learning model, an advanced analytics model, but the way to operationalization in production is very hard. In fact, we actually believe that predictive modeling is hard, but then going and engineering the hell out of it in order to be able to deploy something in scale that is sometimes mission critical, that can work in an actual product that a customer can rely on, is even harder and for sure much more expensive. What we'd like to do here, and what we actually do, is to lift as many barriers as possible, as many engineering barriers as possible, because if you think about it, operationalizing a classifier, for example, is something that looks almost the same for most of the classifiers. So this is no longer, when we talk about machine learning and advanced analytics, this is no longer the process of operationalizing just anything. This is to operationalize a classifier, and we automate as many things as possible to the point, and I wish I could show you a demo, but this, it's just the screen split doesn't work, but you're all welcome to go in there and then see how with one click an API is born. And the reason is that the problem is reduced not to just publish any API, but to publish a machine learning API, which is very liberating for the data scientist. So think about it as a data scientist, you don't have to have the support of engineering, the support of other functions and interfaces in the organization to help you operationalize something. So you can have it right there within the studio, within one click, a live service on Azure that you can start, that you can publish, and your customer, your internal customer, can start consuming. And all of this, the reason why this is liberating is because this can be done at a fraction of the cost. Okay, so if you take the infrastructure, for example, then you don't have to have the machine like I had that is 95% of the time idle. You can just rent it for what you use and pay as you go. And same goes for the operationalization, which is typically a very expensive thing to do. So we invested a lot of resources and a lot of money so you guys can have a fully automated operationalization layer tailored for machine learning needs. And the economy of scale plays a major role here that we'll be trying to reduce costs as much as possible, and this is already very cheap for everybody to use, so not only big and deep-pocketed organizations can do machine learning. More about the cloud. So in the studio, and I wish I could show it to you now, but I cannot. In the studio, you have this, these two buttons. With one of them, you can publish to the gallery, and with the other, you can just publish a web service. So you can take this model. By the way, this this is a binary classification. What I wanted to show you is an exact copy of a model that works in production with the Microsoft Band. The Microsoft Health Band is something that, among many, many other things, makes recommendations for workouts. And I wanted to show you, and unfortunately I can't, how simple the model of recommending workouts looks like on Azure Machine Learning and how easy it is to deploy. And this is exactly the process that Microsoft Band did in order to deploy this in production. Built-in things that you get when you do it on the cloud are elasticity, scalability, geo-redundancy, and also, of course, things like fast redeployment. So suppose that the business question changes, or that the reality changes, the data changes, and you have to tune the model a little bit. You don't have to go through the whole process of engineering and deploying in order to get the new model working. This is all built in, and you can tune it and do a fast redeployment, and of course, infrastructural things like security. Okay, so now we have a very nice infrastructure, a very nice platform that takes care of a lot of things, a lot of hurdles that are slowing down machine learning and the machine learning adoption. And I'd like to talk about the data science economy. So let's think about what happens now. So there is sort of a vicious cycle where machine learning is expensive, advanced analytics is expensive. Therefore, only big organizations can make sense out of this expense. And therefore, after you have a model working, I mean, you need a lot of scale. You need the economy of scale to work for you in order to be able to take advantage of machine learning. So, for example, the coffee shop near my house can benefit a lot from machine learning, but it just cannot go into the game. And this is why tools for long-tail consumers, long-tail customers, and long-tail developers for machine learning just do not exist. And then what happens here is at Azure Machine Learning is that we're trying to break this vicious cycle. And the reason why we want to do that is because we believe that this is a generational moment for advanced analytics, where everything is almost in an inflection point where there is data, there is knowledge, there is the cloud, there is a lot of expertise, and there are also a lot of hard evidences that machine learning can solve business problems. The only problem here is that this is just very expensive. And this is why we want to borrow from other economies that have done this leap and bring machine learning into the data science economy. And let me give you an example. So let me take, for example, the Airbnb and Uber. Okay, these are examples for peer-to-peer economy. What they do is they take advantage of underused resources. So, for example, if you want to rent out your home, you can use Airbnb in order to do that. This couldn't have happened without the online economy that made it from a very regulated economy with many, many middlemen into a very peer-to-peer, unregulated, and competitive economy. And what we would like to do, we'd like to borrow this into the data science world, and we'd like to provide, on top of the machine learning platform, we'd like to provide a means to be able to actually realize the online economy for the specific area of data science. We'd like to enable the creativity of innovation by expanding the reach and eliminating regulation and middlemen. And let me show you how we intend to do that. Actually, already started in general availability for the public from September. So in Azure Machine Learning Marketplace, you can use all the platform tools that I showed you, but you don't have to. You can do other things. This is a self-publishing place where you, for example, in the audience, can publish your algorithms, your know-how as a service and start to sell it to anyone who's interested. So if the guy from the coffee shop would like to understand how many tomatoes to order for next week, and you know how to do that, you don't have to go through anyone else. You can just connect on the marketplace. You can make your offering for the algorithm, and they can buy it, and you can make money out of it. Why we believe that this is a generational moment, this is revolutionary? Because creatives reach the consumer directly. The free market decides what succeeds and at what price, and there are many, many examples where this liberated a lot of economies from regulations and from other hurdles that slowed them down. The marketplace is accompanied by tools for discovery, reputation, marketing, and community. And this is also not only if you have a startup, if you have a company, you can also buy things from there instead of spending a lot of resources on building it in-house. And if I still haven't convinced you, so if you look at the Gartner report, the last Gartner report on advanced analytics industrialization, you will see that marketplaces are being pointed out as a key step in the industrialization of advanced analytics, where people can start to do peer-to-peer instead of building everything in-house. Microsoft itself, and this is the group that I belong to, also produces finished machine learning apps that are a special kind of apps. These are end-to-end solutions. And the one thing that is interesting about these guys is that they do not mandate a data scientist or any machine learning expertise to deal with. If you remember the first box when I talked about hurdles that are slowing down the machine learning adoption, the advanced analytics adoption, was advanced skills. What we believe is that there are a lot of important problems that are now currently well understood to the point that no data scientist is needed. This is many times based on world-leading technology, and the analogy is that that advanced analytics is where the clothing industry was maybe 80 or 90 years ago, where many times you had to go to the tailor and have things measured and tailored exactly for you. And this made things very expensive. This is the same thing we believe happens today with, for example, recommendations. You don't have to go to a consulting company or to any other expensive solutions in order to deploy a recommender system that gives you almost the same ROI that a generic solution would give you. And there are also many other such examples. So obviously this is not good for any problem, but good for many, many long-tail consumers. It can solve a lot of problems such as recommendations, churn prediction, and things like computer vision. If you saw the how old do I look like, this is exactly built, was built very quickly on Azure Machine Learning. I know if you saw it, it was the thing that you take a photograph of yourself and tells you how old you look like. That was done with our studio. I don't have time to show you, this is a customer that has done very well without employing a single data scientist, just by using merchandising tools from Azure Machine Learning. And just to conclude, Azure Machine Learning is a full stack of cloud tools for data scientists. Claim to fame that it brings the algorithms to the data. There's a scale that you can get for very cheap. Data science marketplace with finished apps that also solve the expensive expertise problem for data science for many of the problems. And also introducing a new data science economy where you guys can buy and sell things on the marketplace. And if you know how to do something, you're most welcome. Publish it on the marketplace. You will not believe how much money people make from just publishing services on the Azure marketplace, monetizing their know-how. Okay, so I now have to finish. So I'll just tell you that we are hiring engineers, scientists, product managers, and interns in many topics related to advanced analytics, big data, machine learning, and cloud. Thank you very much.